I'm so glad to have this opportunity to talk to you. I want to tell you that I saw Virginia Galloway's presentation on charter schools back in January, and man, she sold me on charter schools. I'm a firm believer in school choice, and if you've ever met me and talked to me about schools, my mantra is get the federal government, get the government out of our schools. Okay, so charter schools, I thought, well, that was the way to do it. She sold me on charter schools. At the end of the presentation, I asked Virginia, I said, Virginia, this teaching model that's going on in charter schools sounds so wonderful. Why don't we implement this teaching model in all of our public schools? And her answer to me was really what started my concerns. Her answer was politics. Ask your elected representative. I'll be honest with you. I haven't had a child in a public school. My youngest graduated in 1999. I had no idea what was going on in public schools until my sister moved here 4 years ago and started teaching here in Fayette County and started sharing with me some information that was alarming to her because she had taken a hiatus about 15 years, and teaching has changed a lot. And so when Virginia gave me that answer, politics, I thought, I've got to research this. You know, I want to share with you, I'm not getting paid to speak on this charter amendment. I don't have any students in schools, but I'm a taxpayer and I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm a dang good Google searcher. So I started the search to try to figure out what's wrong with our schools, why are they bad, what can we do about it? And it was like taking an onion and peeling away the layers. I've been doing this research for about 3 or 4 months now. And I tell you, the more layers I peeled off, the stinkier the onion got. Just to make you understand, we're voting on an amendment to our Constitution. This is not legislation. Legislation is a little less serious than amending your state constitution. I'm going to read to you a statement from Chris Ann Hall. She's a constitutional attorney in Florida, and on her homepage, and it's Chris with a K, you go to chrisannhall.com, you'll find her statement on amendments. So Florida's got a lot of amendments, and she wanted to address that. And she says, when we vote yes and pass this constitutional amendment, we are creating a constitutionally protected right to charter school petitioners, which includes the appropriate protections and assignments. Constitutionally protected rights must be provided under equal access of the law to all citizens of the state without discrimination. And that opened up in my mind a real question here. When we amend our Constitution, what are we going to be opening ourselves up to here? I have asked the question to constitutional attorneys, will amending our Constitution open us up for lawsuits when charter petitioners of nefarious organizations are denied petition requests in our local school systems, and they're denied even by this new charter commission that we're trying to start. And these are schools with nefarious goals, I want to tell you, that are already in our nation. If you're not familiar with the Turkish Gulen movement, I suggest you Google search that and start looking at it. Turkish Gulen movement is an Islamic fundamentalist movement to infiltrate our nation, our government, our businesses, our religion, and our schools. There's 126 Turkish Gulen schools, and they're charter schools throughout our nation. And one of those schools, we had 3 in Fulton County. One of them was just shut down. That was the Fulton Science Academy. And I want to read a letter to you from a parent who had children in the Fulton Science Academy, because I talked to her for over an hour yesterday and got her story, and I just get more and more of a bad feeling about what the Islamic influence is doing in our nation. She has encouraged us to vote no on this charter amendment, and here's her story. The state charter school amendment will allow charter schools to open without local approval. People, we want to keep our local control over our local elected school board. If we have school boards in school districts that are not complying with the will of those citizens that elected them, we do like we did here in Fayette County, we vote them out. We cannot vote out an appointed board that's being appointed by a state legislature that even Senator Chip Rogers shared with me Thursday night. I don't trust federal government, I don't trust the state government, I don't trust these local school boards. But yet, he wants us to trust our state government that he doesn't even trust to appoint a 7-member panel that we can't unelect if they end up doing a bad job. So she goes on in her letter. State approval will come from a 7-member politically appointed commission. Georgia already has 2 routes for charter applications, and they will continue to approve charter applications. Our local school board can get charter schools in our county if we want them. This is not changing that. The charter commission is just changing who makes the decision on these schools. If this amendment passes, politics and corporations will shape our schools. If you have a problem at a state-controlled charter school, you will have no recourse. And now here's her story about the Turkish Gulen school that she discovered was the Fulton Science Academy. I have fought for 2 years to get my legislator and amendment author, Jan Jones, to meet with me about a local charter school, the Fulton Science Academy. My son attended Fulton Science Academy Charter School in Georgia for 3 years when I found out about problems that also led me to learning that the school was being operated by followers of the influential and controversial Turkish Imam Fethullah Gulen. Okay. The Fulton Science Academy's problems were serious and later validated by an external audit commissioned by the local school board. The local school board, Fulton County, did the audit. My concerns left me fearful to speak up and included a visit from 2 FBI agents to my house to interview me and my son about the school. She said, I didn't call the FBI. It turns out the Gulen movement was the least of my worries. The real problem, legislators with tunnel vision, hoping to open up the Georgia education frontier to charter groups with multifaceted objectives at any cost. My legislators demonstrated that they will look the other way as long as the school has high test scores. If the school has received a National Blue Ribbon Award, as did this particular charter school, well, it's untouchable. And ultimately, the local school board did the right thing and held Fulton Science Academy accountable and did not renew its charter. The local school board did the right thing, which equaled political suicide for them. The politicians condemned the local school board's decision, continued to vilify the board in public, and have put legal pressure on the board to reverse their decision. And she goes on, I understand that the landscape of education is changing, and with that, rules and regulations need to be adapted. However, it is irresponsible of the governor and our legislators to lobby for a constitutional amendment that does not stop the known problematic consequences of charter schools. Now, I want to share with you what the real problem is in our schools, and this charter amendment is not going to fix it. Charter schools in themselves will not fix it. Charter schools have been around in Georgia for almost 20 years. And has the competition that our proponents of this amendment keep telling us, has it fixed the public schools? They've gotten worse. So the free market competition that they keep talking about, well, we know that doesn't work in politics. That only works in a true free market system. This is from Atlanta attorney Emmett Bondurant. The decision to vote for the amendment boils down to this. Would you rather have your local school boards determine whether it is appropriate to approve another charter school in your district, and then they have approved many and disapproved none, or would you rather have a state agency which currently doesn't exist and is not elected and is going to cost $450 million to create a new bureaucracy to take the power away from the local people? The amendment on the ballot is deceiving to voters. It's misleading. It tells local voters that this will mean local control, local decisions. It's not true. But Common Core state standards is the problem in our schools, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem we need to address. And if you're not familiar with Common Core national standards, real quick, this comes from Donna Gardner, who's an education expert in Texas, and she designed the Texas standards for that state when they said no to the federal government, and also Jane Robbins with American Policy Institute here in Georgia. Common Core standards are meant to indoctrinate children's minds into the social justice agenda, not to raise children's academic achievement and build their basic core knowledge. And to achieve its goal, in reading, they're going to limit children's reading of the great classics, particularly those from the Western civilization, because so many of them come from a strong Judeo-Christian belief system. See, this is Obama's education system that has been implemented into our schools. Our state accepted the Common Core standards, giving up our high Georgia standards to implement these lower educational standards for our children. We did this in acceptance of the waiver of No Child Left Behind, and this is what we're getting. Common Core plans to substitute pieces of nonfiction that emphasize environmental extremism, multiculturalism, political correctness, diversity, sexualization, and the LGBT agenda. The Common Core standards do not even achieve the most basic educational goal, to teach young children to sound out words with ease and then to build on that foundation by introducing them to the time-honored pieces of classic fiction that will enhance their love of reading. People, we got to get Common Core standards rescinded. This is our battle. It's not the amendment. It is fixing all of our public schools. With this charter amendment, we have two choices. I'm going to end with this. I could go on for 3 more hours, but I encourage you to go to this website that is where you're going to find this information about the Fulton Science Academy, and it's called georgiascharterschooldisgrace.com. But we have two choices. We pass this amendment. We get some charter schools in our state and leave all the other children behind in a bad, failing school system, or we end up going total charter, which will not be any better because charter schools also have to implement Common Core standards. They don't know it yet. And then we lose total local control and no ability to vote out those that put the system in place. Thank you.